Friends, I am jumping in here really quickly, not really quickly, it's going to be a little while, for us to do our copy clinic. So I am going to share my screen and we're going to get started. So you might see a whole bunch of stuff. It's all good. Welcome to the copy clinic with me, Kelly Harris. If you've never been to one before, I am so excited that you are here. But I want to go through a little bit of housekeeping, and then we're going to do things a little bit differently today. So my name is Kelly Harris. I'm not just another copywriter. I am a storyteller. I am a connector, and I really believe that your story is your secret sauce. It is going to be the differentiator for you with your brand, your positioning, and how you show up in life and business. It is my mission to help solopreneurs, especially coaches and course creators, craft messages that truly speak to your audience. I am a resident council member here with Mastery 360. And like I said, my job is to help you really connect with your people. If you are interested in connecting with Modern Business Mastery, you can join, click the QR code, join the newsletter, book a free strategy building session, connect on LinkedIn, or download the Goals to Game Plan toolkit. There are two ways that you can connect with Mastery 360. You can be part of the M360 Blueprint and Coaching and Support. This is a 12-month structured business accelerator program. It's going to help you, the solopreneur, come up with clear strategy, accountability, and expert guidance to implement your vision. If that feels like it's a little bit much, you can be part of the Mastery Network, which is a little bit less one-on-one support, but it is tailored to you. It is monthly planning and review sessions. It is sessions like this that are the copy clinic, work bubbles, really, really worth it. It's one of the two communities that I have found in the online space that truly care about you and you growing your business and you moving forward. So today we're actually going to do a mini lesson, and we did not get any submissions for the copy clinic. So what I decided to do was really bring in, I'm going to move stuff for just a second, bring in and show some examples of what I'm talking about as we go through this training. So our training today is 7 surprising tips for conversion-oriented content. We're looking at this through our story first marketing. We're going to look at that, and then we're going to look at some examples. So the first thing that is a little bit hard for some people to grasp is that our brains are wired for stories. Studies actually show that stories are up to 22 times more effective and memorable than just rattling off statistics and facts. When you lead with a story, you are creating an emotional bond. Okay? Stories stick and stories sell. We are using this connection to build trust, then trust will lead to conversions. Marketing without a story, without telling parts of your story, is just noise. And without story, it becomes very forgettable. So with story, you become very unforgettable. The first one website I wanted to show you to kind of articulate what I'm talking about is this website right here. It's called Storytelling and the Content 101. So it's talking about why storytelling is increasing. And what's really fascinating, and all of these resources I can absolutely drop in the notes and in the comment section below, but storytelling is talking about how do we really pick out those pieces, those threads of our audience and our story that are really truly going to connect. What is the psychological impact? What is storytelling versus the actual traditional marketing techniques? And the thing that I will say about story, and that I have really noticed about story and helping people to use their story, is that a lot of people get very overwhelmed. They feel like they are, I'm not special. I don't have a story. And the truth is that every one of us have lived experiences that show other people the road that we have traveled and why we are the expert in what we do. So that's the first key. The second thing you need to do to increase your conversions is have power words and the story hook. We are connecting with emotionally charged words. Words like people don't really love secret or surprising, but words that invoke an emotion. Duolingo does this absolutely brilliantly if you look them up on TikTok, because they pair bold words with quirky stories that make people just binge the content. And as story first marketers, we can do the same. Start with our story with words that evoke emotion and that curiosity. Like we said, here are some examples of that. This is called Opt-in Monster. These are really fascinating reads if you want to go in and look at them. But these are some examples of content that built empires. The very first one, like we talked about, Duolingo does some really amazing, quirky things. And people just eat this stuff up. They absolutely love this stuff. And they tell stories in a visual kind of storytelling way. Another company that does it really well is the Milk Roads Entertainment newsletter. I've also seen like the Pigeon newsletter. These things take the very complicated things, like Milk Road Pro takes crypto and they make it funny. They make it tangible. They make it something that people can remember and can latch on to. So now we'll go back to, oh no, that's abandonment. That's funny. Let's go back to our slideshow. And I really wish I had the time to dig into each of these examples with you. The next thing you're going to do is, when you are leading with story, we don't really start by setting the scene like we would if we were writing a book. We start with that high emotion. So instead of building up slowly to our point, we have to flip that script. We start with the climax. We start with those feelings. We start with the transformation of the big result. And the person who does this really well is Nike. Will often begin ads with huge wins and powerful imagery of athletes succeeding. And then they unpack the story behind it. So we start with the big thing, and then we have that big emotion, and then we kind of lead with the metaphors and the transformation and all of that. So we start with the high impact moment, and then we reveal the how we get the transformation that we just showcased. Sorry, guys, I'm losing my voice. Like I said, this is another website that does it really, really well. Let's see if it'll load. It's not wanting to load. Okay, well, we'll move on. So the next thing we have to do is we have to show with our words and with visuals. Visuals actually engage us faster because we live in a world right now where we don't have a ton of time before somebody zones out. So visuals engage faster, they're more memorable, they are more shareable, and one image can carry the whole story. I always think back to the time when they say like a picture's worth 1,000 words. That's very true in the marketing world that we currently live in. That single visual can tell a story and drive sales through the roof. For your business, think about how you can swap words for images or short videos to tell your story faster. Uh-oh, some things are freezing. Sorry, guys. The next thing is we want to value-driven messaging. This is so important. We highlight the transformation. We don't talk necessarily as much about the process. We're going to focus on the outcomes. Focus on the customer being the hero. Remember, we've talked about this. What's in it for them? Not just what we do, but what's in it for the person who is buying your service or your product. You're going to sell the feeling of belonging. That's what conversion-oriented storytelling actually does. It shows the outcome, not the to-do list. The next thing is being specific, because specificity builds trust. If you say we've had a lot of people reach out to us, that's not as powerful as saying 142 people reached out to us about this offer. Because if you are vague, you are forgettable. So if you are giving exact numbers and you are not, and you are being in integrity and in authenticity, and you are giving the exact data, that builds credibility and trustworthiness massively. looking at my notes, guys. So when Spotify comes out each year, people go wild, not because it says, hey, you listened a lot, but it gives you specifics. And Duolingo does this as well at the end of the year. You listen 37,000 minutes, you listen to 92 new artists. These are your top 5 songs. Last year, when at the end of the year, Duo did something very similar, that said, you learned Spanish this many hours, you learned this many new words. This is how much further you have gone in the last year. When you share your results with precision, people believe you and they want to be part of that. We've got just a couple more left. And so I thank you guys so much for your patience. We guide with questions. Questions are really powerful in storytelling. They make the reader pause and engage. Instapage is a great example of this. They use their landing page brilliantly because they ask questions like, ready to double your leads? Which instantly puts you into their narrative. So try weaving in questions that are going to guide your audience through your story. So they're not just reading it, but they are an active participant in it. And then there's 2 more. The next thing is called Bucket Brigade, which I actually really love this. So in long form storytelling, people drop off if it feels heavy, if it feels hard, if it feels like a lot. Bucket brigades are short conversational bridges that keep attention moving forward. When we say things like, but here's the thing, or guess what, you pull the reader back into what you're talking about, especially in email marketing. It makes them want to know what the next line is. One Thing Marketing demonstrates, this is actually a brand, One Thing Marketing. They demonstrate really well how conversational flow keeps people reading all the way to the call to action. We've talked about this before. We're shortening our phrases. We're not using huge paragraphs. We're using bullet points. We're creating space. All of those things make the text feel a lot more approachable. And if it's approachable, people will read all the way to the call to action, and then the conversions will happen. And then the last thing is we're going to keep it simple. Simplicity wins every time. You write like you talk. We talk to a specific person, and we're aiming for 4th to 6th grade readability. We don't want this to be complicated. We don't want to be using words that are industry specific. We want to be using words that your 4th grader can understand exactly what the message that you're trying to convey. We have to make it easy for our people if we are wanting conversions. Clarity is always, always, always going to beat cleverness. We made it all the way. You guys did amazing. If you have any questions, please drop them below the video, and I would be more than happy to pop in here and answer any questions that you guys have. I appreciate you so much for taking the time to learn some 7 surprising things that are conversion driving things that you can do in your copy and your marketing. You guys have a great day.